Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and felt like a prisoner in your own mind? Like there's an invisible force holding you back from everything you want to be, everything you know you can become? That force isn't external. It isn't your circumstances, your past, or other people. That force is something far more powerful and far more insidious. It's your own self-limiting beliefs. These silent saboteurs that whisper you can't, you're not good enough, it's too late, you'll fail. I want you to think about something for a moment. Think about a dream you've carried in your heart for years. Maybe it's starting that business, writing that book, making that career change, going back to school. Whatever that dream is, hold it in your mind right now. Now pay attention to what happens next in your thoughts. Listen carefully to that inner voice. What's it telling you? For most of us, that voice immediately starts listing all the reasons why we can't, shouldn't, or won't succeed. That voice is the manifestation of your self-limiting beliefs. But here's what's fascinating, and what I want you to really understand deep in your bones tonight. Those beliefs aren't facts. They're stories. Stories we've written ourselves or allowed others to write for us. Stories that we've repeated so many times that we've forgotten. They're just stories. You see, our minds are magnificent storytellers. They create narratives to make sense of our world, our experiences, our potential. But sometimes these stories become prisons. They become the bars that keep us confined in a space far smaller than what we're capable of occupying. Let me share something profound with you. Every major breakthrough in human history started with someone refusing to accept the limiting beliefs of their time. Think about that for a moment. Every innovation, every transformation, every leap forward began with someone saying, just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done. The truth is, your potential isn't determined by your past, your circumstances, or even your current abilities. Your potential is determined by your willingness to grow, to learn, to push beyond the comfortable confines of your limiting beliefs. I want to tell you about someone I met. She was a single mother working 2 jobs to make ends meet. Every day, she would look at her situation and hear those limiting beliefs. This is just how it is. I can't do better. I'm stuck. But one day, something shifted inside her. She realized that these weren't truths. They were choices. She was choosing to believe them. And in that moment of realization, something magical happened. She started questioning every I can't that crossed her mind. She started replacing I can't with how can I. This simple shift, this tiny but profound change in perspective, set in motion a series of events that transformed her life. You see, our self-limiting beliefs often wear the mask of protection. They pretend to keep us safe from failure, from disappointment, from pain. But in reality, they're keeping us safe from growth, from joy, from fulfillment, from becoming who we're truly meant to be. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall hundreds of times. But here's what's remarkable. They never think, maybe walking isn't for me. They never conclude, I'm not good at this. They keep going because they haven't learned to limit themselves yet. They haven't absorbed the self-limiting beliefs that we, as adults, carry around like heavy chains. What if you could approach your dreams with that same childlike determination? What if you could strip away years of accumulated limiting beliefs and see your potential with fresh eyes? Here's the beautiful truth. You can. And that's what we're going to explore together tonight. We're going to uncover the source of these limiting beliefs, understand how they've shaped our lives, and most importantly, learn how to break free from them. Because breaking free from self-limiting beliefs isn't just about positive thinking. It's not about affirmations alone. It's about understanding that these beliefs are not who you are. They're just what you've accepted about yourself. And anything that's been accepted can be questioned. Anything that's been learned, your life, your real life, begins at the edge of your comfort zone. It begins where your limiting beliefs end. It begins in that space where you dare to ask, what if everything I believe about my limitations is wrong? Every time you say, I can't, you're not stating a fact. You're making a choice. You're choosing to accept a limitation that exists only in your mind. You're choosing to live within the walls of your self-imposed prison. But here's the liberating truth. Those walls are made of paper. They're made of thoughts, of assumptions, of fears disguised as facts. And just like paper, they can be torn down the moment you decide to test their strength. Each of us has a zone of perceived limitations, a comfort zone that we've constructed over years of living. We've drawn lines in the sand and said this far and no further. We've created invisible boundaries and convinced ourselves they're real. But what if those boundaries are just illusions? What if they're just the result of stories we've told ourselves so many times that we've forgotten their stories? I want you to think about water for a moment. When water is contained in a glass, it takes the shape of that glass. It seems limited by those boundaries. But what happens when you pour that water out? It flows freely, taking new shapes, finding new paths, becoming more than what the glass. You are that water. Your self-limiting beliefs are the glass. And tonight, we're going to learn how to pour ourselves out of that glass, how to break free from these self-imposed limitations that have held us back for far too long. The journey we're about to embark on isn't just about breaking free from limiting beliefs. It's about discovering who you really are when you stop listening to the voice of limitation. It's about uncovering the incredible potential that's been waiting dormant within you, covered by layers of I can't and I'm not enough. Because here's what I know to be true. Within each of us lies an extraordinary capacity for growth, for achievement, for transformation. This capacity isn't reserved for a special few. It's not something that only belongs to the naturally gifted or the incredibly lucky. It's your birthright. It's part of your human heritage. But to access this capacity, we must first understand something crucial. Your beliefs about yourself are not passive observations. They're active creators of your reality. They're not just describing your limits, they're creating them. Think about that for a moment. Every time you tell yourself, I'm not good at public speaking, or I'll never be successful, or I'm too old to start something new, you're not just describing your reality or creating it. You're building the walls of your own prison, brick by brick, belief by belief. But here's the empowering flip side of this truth. If your beliefs can create limitations, they can also create possibilities. If they can build walls, they can also tear them down. The same power that has confined you can set you free. As we continue this journey together, I want you to hold on to this truth. You are not your limiting beliefs. You are not the voice of doubt in your head. You are not the sum of your past failures or the product of other people's expectations. You are pure potential waiting to be unleashed. You are a force of nature temporarily contained by artificial boundaries. You are an infinite being momentarily accepting finite limitations. And tonight, we begin the process of breaking free. Tonight, we start the journey of rediscovering who you really are beneath those limiting beliefs. Tonight, we begin the transformation from who you think you are to who you're truly meant to be. Now that we understand the power our limiting beliefs hold over us, let's dive deeper into how these beliefs take root in our minds, and more importantly, how we can begin to uproot. You see, our limiting beliefs aren't born with us. They're acquired. They're learned. Think of your mind as a garden. When you were born, it was fertile soil, ready to grow whatever was planted in it. And over the years, various seeds were planted. By your experiences, by the words of others, by your interpretations of success and failure. Some of these seeds grew into beautiful, empowering beliefs that have served you well. But others grew into weeds, limiting beliefs that have choked out your potential, restricted your growth, and kept you playing small in a world that needs your greatness. The first step in breaking free from these limiting beliefs is to identify them. You need to become aware of these weeds in your mental garden. And here's a powerful way to do that. Pay attention to your automatic responses when opportunities arise. When someone suggests you apply for a promotion, what's your immediate internal response? When you see a chance to start a new venture, what's the first thought that crosses your mind? When you consider making a significant change in your life, what's the voice in your head telling you? These automatic responses are your limiting beliefs speaking. They're the guardians of your comfort zone, the protectors of the status quo. But here's what's fascinating. They're also signposts pointing directly to where your growth needs to happen. Every time you hear yourself say, I can't, or that's not for people like me, or I'm not ready, write it down. These are not random thoughts. They're the manifested forms of your limiting beliefs. They're the weeds we need to identify before we can remove them. But here's where many people get stuck. They think identifying these beliefs is enough. They think awareness alone will set them free. But awareness is just the first step. It's like noticing the weeds in your garden. Important, yes, but noticing them doesn't remove them. The next step is to question these beliefs. And I mean really question them. Challenge them with the same intensity they've been challenging your dreams. When limiting belief surfaces, ask yourself, is this true? Is this absolutely undeniably true, or is it just a story I've been telling myself? Most of the time, and this is crucial to understand, most of the time these beliefs will not stand up to serious questioning. They're like shadows. They seem solid and real until you shine a light on them, and then you realize they're mostly empty space. Let me share something powerful with you. Every limiting belief you hold has a crack in it. Every single one. You know how I know this, because you've already broken through limiting beliefs in your life. You've already proven them wrong countless times. Remember learning to ride a bike? There was probably a moment when you believed you couldn't do it, but you did it. Remember learning to read? There was probably a time when those symbols on the page seemed like an impossible code to crack, but you cracked it. Your life is full of examples of you breaking through limiting beliefs. You've done it before and you can do it again. The only difference is that now we're going to do it consciously. We're going to do it with purpose and intention. Here's a powerful exercise I want you to try. Take out a piece of paper. Right now, if you have one, write down your 3 most persistent limiting beliefs, the ones that show up most often in your life, the ones that have the strongest hold on you. Now, for each of these beliefs, I want you to write down a time in your life when you proved it wrong, even if it was just for a moment, even if it was in a small way. Because here's the truth. If you proved it wrong once, even for a moment, it can't be an absolute truth. It's just a relative truth. A truth you've chosen to accept. And if it's a truth you've chosen to accept, it's also a truth you can choose to reject. This is where the real transformation begins. This is where we start to understand that our limiting beliefs are not laws of nature. They're not carved in stone. They're more like software programs running in our minds. And just like software, they can be updated, modified, or completely replaced. Think about this. Every limiting belief you hold was learned at some point in your life. Maybe it was learned from a difficult experience. Maybe it was absorbed from the words of others. Maybe it was a conclusion you drew to make sense of a challenging situation. But here's the liberating truth. Anything that can be learned can be unlearned. Any pattern that was programmed can be reprogrammed. Any belief that was installed can be uninstalled. This isn't just positive thinking. This is neuroscience. Our brains are incredibly plastic. They're constantly changing, constantly rewiring themselves based on our thoughts, our experiences, and most importantly, our beliefs. When you understand this, you realize that your limiting beliefs aren't your destiny. They're just your current programming. And you have the power to change that programming. But this is crucial. You can't just delete a limiting belief. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does your mind. You need to replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones. You need to plant new seeds in your mental garden as you remove the weeds. This is where many people go wrong. They try to simply stop believing the limiting thought without replacing it with something new. This creates a void, and guess what typically fills that void? The old limiting belief, because it's familiar, because it's comfortable, because it's what your mind knows. Instead, for every limiting belief you identify, you need to create an empowering alternative. But, and this is important, this alternative needs to be believable. It needs to be something your mind can accept even if it feels a bit of a stretch. If your limiting belief is I'm too old to start something new, your empowering alternative might be my experience gives me advantages that younger people don't have. If your limiting belief is I'm not smart enough, your empowering alternative might be I can learn anything I need to learn. Notice how these alternatives don't deny reality. They reframe it. They take the same facts and view them through a different lens. This is crucial because your mind won't accept a complete reversal of what it believes to be true, but it will accept a different perspective on those same truths. This is the art of transforming limiting beliefs. Not fighting them head on, but gradually replacing them with more empowering alternatives. It's like steering a large ship. You don't turn it 180 degrees instantly. You make small, consistent adjustments that over time, lead to a completely new direction. And here's something beautiful about this process. As you begin to question and replace your limiting beliefs, you'll start to notice something fascinating. Your world will begin to expand. Opportunities you never noticed before will start appearing. Possibilities you never considered will begin to emerge. This isn't because these opportunities and possibilities weren't there before. They were always there. But your limiting beliefs were like filters on your perception, screening out anything that didn't match your beliefs about what was possible for you. As you remove these filters, as you replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, you'll start to see your world and your place in it in a completely new way. Now that we understand how to identify our limiting beliefs and have begun the process of questioning them, let's talk about something powerful, the actual process of breaking free. Because understanding is important, but action is essential. You see, breaking free from limiting beliefs isn't a single moment of transformation. It's not like flipping a switch where suddenly all your limitations disappear. It's more like breaking out of a prison. It requires planning, persistence, and most importantly, the right tools. The first tool I want to give you is what I call the evidence journal. Every day, I want you to write down one piece of evidence that contradicts your limiting beliefs. Just one. It doesn't have to be something massive. It could be as simple as receiving a compliment that challenges your belief about not being good enough, or solving a problem that tests your belief about not being smart enough. Why is this so powerful? Because your limiting beliefs survive on selective attention. They direct your focus to everything that confirms them while ignoring everything that contradicts them. The evidence journal breaks this pattern. It forces your mind to acknowledge the evidence against your limiting beliefs. But here's where it gets really interesting. As you collect this evidence, something remarkable starts to happen. Your mind begins to search for it. It starts actively looking for proof that your limiting beliefs are wrong. And what you look for, you tend to find. The second tool is what I call the future self-dialogue. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, but imagine a version of yourself who has broken free from your current limiting beliefs. This version of you has done everything you're currently afraid to do. They've become everything you're currently afraid to become. Now have a conversation with this future self. Ask them how they did it. Ask them what beliefs they had to let go of. Ask them what new beliefs they had to embrace. This isn't just visualization. It's active mental rehearsal. It's programming your mind with new possibilities. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience. When you engage in this future self-dialogue, you're creating new neural pathways. You're literally rewiring your brain for success. The third tool is what I call the possibility question. Whenever you catch yourself saying, I can't, immediately ask yourself, but what if I could? This simple question opens up a world of possibilities. It bypasses your limiting beliefs and engages your creative problem-solving abilities. I can't start a business becomes, but what if I could? What would be the first step? I can't go back to school becomes, but what if I could? What would I need to make it happen? I can't change careers becomes, but what if I could? What would that look like? This question doesn't deny the challenges. It doesn't ignore the obstacles. It simply refuses to accept them as permanent barriers. It turns dead ends into detours. It transforms walls into doorways. But here's something crucial to understand. Breaking free from limiting beliefs isn't just about the tools you use. It's also about the environment you create. Your limiting beliefs are like plants. They need certain conditions to survive. Change those conditions and they begin to wither. What conditions nourish limiting beliefs? Negative self-talk, toxic relationships, environments that reinforce your limitations, people who validate your fears rather than your possibilities. To break free from limiting beliefs, you need to create an environment that supports growth rather than limitation. This might mean changing who you spend time with. It might mean changing what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. Think about it. If you're trying to break free from the belief that you're too old to start something new, but you're constantly surrounded by people who reinforce that belief, how successful do you think you'll be? If you're trying to break free from the belief that you're not good enough, but you're constantly consuming media that makes you feel inadequate, how far do you think you'll get? Your environment either supports your growth or suppresses it. There's no neutral ground. Every person you spend time with, every book you read, every show you watch, every conversation you have, they're either helping you break free from your limiting beliefs or helping those beliefs maintain their hold on you. This is why breaking free from limiting beliefs often requires courage. Not just the courage to change your thoughts, but the courage to change your environment. The courage to distance yourself from people who keep you small. The courage to seek out those who believe in your potential even when you don't believe in it yourself. But here's something beautiful about this process. As you begin to break free from your limiting beliefs, you naturally attract people who support your growth. As you begin to expand your sense of what's possible, you naturally find yourself in environments that nurture that expansion. It's like jumping into a river. At first, it takes enormous effort to break free from the shore, from the familiar, the comfortable, the known, but once you're in the current, it begins to carry you. The very act of breaking free creates momentum that makes it easier to stay free. This is why small victories are so important in this process. Every time you prove a limiting belief wrong, even in a small way, you create momentum. Every time you take action despite your fears, you strengthen your belief in your own capabilities. Remember this, your limiting beliefs are like a house of cards. They support each other. They reinforce each other. But this also means that when you knock one down, it weakens the others. When you prove one limiting belief wrong, you create cracks in all of them. This is why it's so important to celebrate your victories, no matter how small they seem. Each victory is evidence. Each success is proof. Each step forward is momentum, and momentum, once created, wants to continue. And this is crucial. Don't expect this journey to be smooth or linear. Breaking free from limiting beliefs isn't about never having doubts again. It's about learning to move forward despite those doubts. It's about developing the ability to act even when your limiting beliefs are screaming at you to stay safe. Stay small, stay confined. Think of it like learning to swim. At first, you cling to the side of the pool. Your limiting beliefs tell you it's not safe to let go. But at some point, you have to release your grip. You have to trust that you can float, that you can move through the water, that you can handle whatever comes. And yes, you might swallow some water. You might have moments of panic. You might even need to grab the side again occasionally. But each time you let go, each time you venture into deeper water, you build confidence. You build evidence. You build momentum. This is the process of breaking free from limiting beliefs. It's not about never feeling fear. It's about learning to swim despite the fear. It's not about never having doubts. It's about learning to move forward despite the doubts. And here's something powerful to remember. Every time you do this, every time you act despite your limiting beliefs, you're not just changing your own life. You're creating ripples that affect everyone around you. You're showing others what's possible. You're proving that limiting beliefs can be overcome, that barriers can be broken, that transformation is possible. As we continue our journey together, let's talk about something vital, how to make this transformation permanent. Because breaking free from limiting beliefs is one thing, but staying free is another challenge entirely. You see, your limiting beliefs didn't build their power overnight. They gained their strength through repetition, through years of being reinforced, through countless moments of choosing safety over growth. And just as they were built gradually, they must be dismantled gradually, but with intention, with purpose, with unwavering commitment. Think of your mind like a mighty river. Over years, decades perhaps, your limiting beliefs have carved deep channels in your consciousness. These thought patterns have become the path of least resistance. Your thoughts naturally flow along these familiar routes, just as water flows along the paths it has carved in the earth. But here's the powerful truth. Just as water can carve new channels, your mind can create new pathways. This is what neuroscientists call neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. And this is the key to making your transformation permanent. Every time you challenge a limiting belief, every time you choose a new response, every time you act in spite of your fears, you're not just making a momentary choice. You're carving a new channel. You're creating a new pathway in your brain. You're literally rewiring your neural circuitry. But here's where many people go wrong. They try to force too much change too quickly. They try to dig a Grand Canyon overnight. That's not how nature works, and it's not how your mind works either. Lasting change comes from consistent, persistent effort over time. This is why I want to introduce you to what I call the daily declaration. Each morning, before you start your day, I want you to declare one limiting belief that you're going to challenge that day. Just one. Make it specific. Make it actionable. Make it measurable. Instead of saying, I'm going to stop being afraid, say today, I'm going to do one thing that scares me. Instead of saying, I'm going to believe in myself, say today, I'm going to take one step toward my biggest goal. Instead of saying, I'm going to stop doubting myself, say today, I'm going to make one decision without seeking anyone's approval. This practice does something powerful. It turns the abstract concept of breaking free from limiting beliefs into concrete daily actions. It transforms a massive undertaking into manageable steps. It makes the impossible possible by making it practical. But here's what's crucial. You must do this every day, not just on the days when you feel motivated, not just on the days when it's easy, every single day, because consistency is what carves new channels. Consistency is what creates new neural pathways. Consistency is what makes transformation permanent. Think about learning to play a musical instrument. You don't become proficient by practicing for 10 hours one day and then not touching the instrument for a month. You become proficient through daily practice, even if it's just for 15 minutes. The same principle applies to breaking free from limiting beliefs. This brings us to another powerful tool, what I call the success spiral. Every time you follow through on your daily declaration, no matter how small the action might seem, celebrate it. Really celebrate it. Take a moment to acknowledge what you've done, to feel the satisfaction of keeping your... Why is this so important? Because success breeds success. Every time you celebrate a victory, no matter how small, you release dopamine in your brain. This reinforces the new neural pathway you're creating. It makes it more likely that you'll take similar actions in the future. You're literally programming your brain for success. And this is crucial. You must also prepare for setbacks. They're not failures. They're feedback. They're not barriers. They're bridges to better understanding. Every time you slip back into an old limiting belief, every time you catch yourself playing small, use it as an opportunity to learn. What triggered this? What circumstances led to this? What can I do differently next time? This turns setbacks into stepping stones. It transforms obstacles into opportunities for growth. Remember this. Your limiting beliefs are like a well-worn path through a forest. For years, maybe decades, you've walked this path. It's familiar, it's comfortable. Even if it doesn't lead where you want to go, at least you know every twist and turn. Breaking free from limiting beliefs is like forging a new path through that forest. At first, it's difficult. It's uncomfortable. Every step requires conscious effort. But with each passing day, with each step forward, the new path becomes clear. The old path begins to grow over. The new way becomes more natural. This is why environment is so crucial in maintaining your transformation. Your environment either supports your new path or pulls you back to the old one. This isn't just about physical environment. It's about your mental environment too. The books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the conversations you engage in, they all either reinforce your new empowering beliefs or resurrect your old limiting ones. Create what I call a growth library, a collection of resources that support your new beliefs. This might include books that challenge your limitations, podcasts that inspire possibility, videos that demonstrate what's achievable. Make this library easily accessible. Turn to it whenever you feel your old limiting beliefs trying to reassert their power. But don't stop there. Create what I call victory anchors, physical reminders of times you've overcome limiting beliefs in the past. These might be photographs, objects, or written accounts of your successes. Place these anchors where you'll see them regularly. Let them remind you of your capacity for transformation. And here's something powerful. Start keeping what I call a future memory journal. In this journal, write about your goals and dreams as if they've already happened. Write in detail about how it felt to achieve them, what obstacles you overcame, what limiting beliefs you had to break through. This isn't just positive thinking. It's mental rehearsal. It's programming your subconscious mind with new possibilities. It's creating a clear, compelling vision of who you're becoming. And when your vision is clear enough, strong enough, compelling enough, your limiting beliefs begin to lose their power. Because here's the truth. Your limiting beliefs can only survive in the shadow of uncertainty. They feed on doubt, on vagueness, on lack. But when you have a clear, compelling vision of what's possible, when you have daily evidence of your capacity for growth, when you have consistent reinforcement of your new empowering beliefs, the old limitations begin to fade. They don't disappear overnight. They don't vanish in a puff of smoke. But gradually, steadily, consistently, they lose their power. The voice of limitation becomes quieter. The pull of the old path becomes weaker. The new way becomes more natural, more automatic, more you. This is how lasting transformation happens, not through a single moment of breakthrough, but through consistent, persistent, intentional action. Not through denying your limiting beliefs, but through systematically replacing them with empowering ones. Not through force, but through focus. Not through pressure, but through practice. As we come to the close of our time together, I want you to understand something profound. This moment, right here, right now, could be the pivot point in your life. This could be the moment you look back on years from now and say, that's when everything changed. That's when I decided to break free. Because breaking free from limiting beliefs isn't just about changing what you think. It's about changing who you become. It's about stepping into the fullness of your potential. It's about becoming the person you were always meant to be before the world convinced you to play small. Think about this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone breaking free from their limiting beliefs. Every breakthrough, every innovation, every transformation started with someone saying, what if? What if the limits I've accepted aren't real? What if the boundaries I've lived within aren't fixed? What if my potential is far greater than I've imagined? Your limiting beliefs have been like a thermostat in your life, regulating how much success you'll allow yourself to achieve, how much joy you'll let yourself experience, how much impact you'll permit yourself to have. But today, right now, you can begin to reset that thermostat. Remember the tools we've discussed? The evidence journal, documenting daily proof that your limiting beliefs are false. The future self-dialogue, connecting with the version of you is already broken free. The possibility question, transforming I can't into what if I could. The daily declaration, committing to one specific action each day that challenges your limitations. These aren't just techniques. They're keys to your freedom. They're bridges from who you've been to who you can become. But like any key, they only work if you use them. Like any bridge, they only serve their purpose if you have the courage to cross them. Some of you might be thinking, but you don't understand my circumstances. You don't know my limitations. You don't know my past. And you're right. I don't. But I know something more important. I know your potential. I know that within you lies the same force that has driven human progress since the dawn of time. The power to grow, to change, to transform. Your circumstances don't define your potential. Your past doesn't determine your future. Your limitations are not your destiny. They're just the stories you've been telling yourself. And today, right now, you can begin telling a new story. This new story isn't about ignoring reality. It's about expanding it. It's not about denying challenges. It's about refusing to be defined by them. It's not about pretending limitations don't exist. It's about recognizing that most of our limitations are self-imposed, and what we have imposed we can remove. Think about water for a moment. When water encounters an obstacle, it doesn't stop. It doesn't give up. It doesn't accept limitation. It finds a way around, over or through. It transforms from liquid to vapor to solid, changing its form but never its essence. That's what breaking free from limiting beliefs is about. Not denying reality, but being fluid enough to find a way forward. Your limiting beliefs want you to be like a rock, solid, unchanging, fixed in place. But you are not a rock. You are like water. You are a fluid, adaptable, unstoppable when you set your mind to something. Your limiting beliefs want you to accept boundaries. But like water, you can transform, you can adapt, you can find a way. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your opportunity to break free from the prison of limiting beliefs and step into the fullness of your potential. The tools are in your hands. The knowledge is in your mind. The power is in your heart. But knowledge without action is like having a map, but never taking the journey. Tools without use are like having wings, but never choosing to fly. Power without purpose is like having a light, but keeping it hidden. So here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but right now, take out your phone or a piece of paper or whatever you have handy. Write down the single most limiting belief that has held you back, the one that has cost you the most opportunities, the one that has caused you the most regret. Now, underneath it, write these words. As of this moment, I choose to break free. This is your declaration of independence from limiting beliefs. This is your personal revolution. This is your line in the sand. Then, write down one action, just one bite that you can take in the next 24 hours to challenge this belief. Make it specific. Make it measurable. Make it something you can definitely do, even if it scares you a little. Especially if it scares you a little, because that fear is often a compass pointing toward your growth. This is how transformation begins, not with grand gestures, but with specific actions. Not with dramatic declarations, but with decisive steps. Not with waiting for the perfect moment, but with making this moment perfect through your decision to act. Your limiting beliefs have had their time. They've had their say, they've had their power, but that time is over. That power ends now. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in your story. A chapter where you are the author, not your limitations. A chapter where you define what's possible, not your fears. A chapter where you choose your destiny, not your doubts. Remember this moment. Remember this feeling. Remember this decision, because years from now, when people ask you how you achieved what you've achieved, how you became, who you've become, how you built what you've built, you'll look back to this moment and say, that's when I decided. That's when I chose to break free. That's when I began. The world needs what you have to offer. It needs your gifts, your talents, your potential. It needs the person you become when you break free from your limiting beliefs. Don't rob the world of that gift. Don't deny us your light. Don't let your limiting beliefs win. You have everything you need right now to begin this journey. You have the tools, you have the knowledge, you have the power. The only question is, will you use them? The answer to that question will determine everything that follows. It will determine whether this was just another motivational talk you heard or the moment everything changed. It will determine whether your limiting beliefs maintain their power or whether today marks the beginning of your liberation. The choice is yours. The time is now. The power is within you. Break free. Step forward. Begin. Your new story starts today.